Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our backyard. In this morning's video, I'm going to talk about our spring prep that we've been doing and some of the products that I use in spring prep. And then I want to talk about just briefly some of the plantings that I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks here for spring. So my name is Crystal, and I garden in Zone 9B south of Houston along the Texas Gulf Coast. And we are hot and humid typically, and we can get lots of rain, and we have extremely high humidity. Clay soil, and so we do have some challenges. So first off, I get questions about what products I use, and in particular some type of soils that I use, and also fertilizers. And I'll be honest, since I'm a butterfly and hummingbird gardener, I don't use a lot of fertilizers. But let me go over here to what I'm starting to do this spring. So I'm a big proponent of you use what is local to you, because shipping costs are just outrageous if you're trying to get products that aren't local that you can, pick up where you shop. This for me is at my very favorite nursery, and I've told many of you, and I've mentioned it on my channel, that I absolutely love a nursery called Enchanted Gardens in Richmond, Texas. It's about an hour away from me, but it's so worth the drive. I kind of look at it as a field trip. But incidentally, I pick up Happy Frog soil conditioner from them each spring, and I only do this in the springtime. It is kind of expensive, but it is wonderful. I love a soil conditioner. You'll see it contains mycorrhizae and humic acid, and this is like my spring fertilizer, if you will. It's compost, it's got bat guano, which is bat poo, and earthworm castings, which is wonderful, and I love this stuff. So I use this and put this in my beds every spring. So I am going to be putting that in all of my garden beds. I've started, but I haven't finished. The other question I get asked in the comment section is, what type of soil do I use? And I typically like to get this soil at Costco every spring. They don't carry it at my Costco all year long. And this happens to be raised bed and in-ground soil with compost. And you'll see it says it's for fruits, vegetables, flowers, herbs, trees, and shrubs. And the reason I like this is it's a larger bag than what I can get at my big box store, like Home Depot or Lowe's. And it has the compost in it. And the other thing I like about it is a larger bag. And so it's cheaper. I think I get this for about $9.99, and every spring I will get the in-ground soil if I need to top off my garden beds. And I did need to do that in my north garden bed here. So I've got plantings I'm going to be doing, and I just needed to top off the soil, and I love that in-ground soil, organic in-ground soil. I know I've gotten a couple of comments that have said, I'm going to pan over here, that have said that they don't like in their area. There's issues with, they think there's bugs in it. I know I've gotten a couple of comments like that. I've never, out of the years that I've used this, I've never had any issues. Knock on wood, I've never had any issues with this. So in the springtime at Costco, I also get the potting mix for any of the containers that I'm using. Again, this is a larger bag than my big box store, and it has compost in it. So I just really, really, really like this, and it has been a good choice. If I need throughout the year to get either a potting mix or a soil mixture, I certainly will go to the big box store. I don't have any problem with that and purchase it. But this is a better value for me, and typically that's when I need it, is in the spring. It looks like I have a leftover bag here of garden soil from a big box store. Another question I get asked is, what do I do to cut down spring growth? In particular, things like salvias. This happens to be the dead growth, and I will cut them down to about 6 inches to a foot above the ground. This is my Salvia madrensis, which is a fall producer. This is a Turk's cap. I try not to leave too much of the old growth on there, but I also don't want to take it down too far to compromise the root ball. So anywhere from 3-4 inches, sometimes up to 6 inches on plants that have dead stalks. This is one of my giant milkweed, and it's probably a little bit too long, but the growth was coming at different points in the stalk, so I didn't want to cut it too far back. And then I get asked questions about firebush, because down here, if we get a freeze, firebush will die back to the ground. And it doesn't wake up right away in the springtime. And I do take these back. I use a loppers to cut these back to anywhere from 6 to 12 inches. And I've cut them down a little bit lower this year than I have in years past. So, this firebush is already starting to come back. So, one of the things with the more or the longer your firebush is in the ground down here in the south, the bigger it will be. So my firebush was 8.5 to 9 feet tall last year, and we have frozen every winter now for 4 years in a row, which is unusual for us. I hope it's not our new normal, but the firebush grow larger the next year. So fascinating, and you just cut back the firebush in the spring and the new growth will push out. Just wait for it. Don't pull it up, because it takes a while for firebush to wake up in the spring. I also get asked quite a few questions about salvia and how I cut that back. And quite frankly, some of the salvia is, in particular my Amistad and the Amante, is really difficult for me to cut back or prune, actually, because typically it's almost always flowering, and the hummingbirds and the butterflies just just absolutely love the flowers. And so I am continuing to come through. I need to cut this back, but the new growth I will not. And I can tell where this new growth is and where it's pushing up versus the older growth, which is around here. And the reason I'm leaving this, oh my goodness, is because I had a really weird winter. We had a lot of snow. Even though we got down to 16 degrees, which is super low for us, I covered this with blankets, which are plant blankets, and my husband covered it multiple layers, and the snow was on it, and the snow acted as an insulator, and it did not kill back this salvia, which I was just stunned. So I need to come back, and you can see, the growth, this is 5 feet tall already. Goodness gracious. And it is blooming. And so I need to get in here and cut out the old growth along the edges. I need to basically prune now. You can see this. I'll be taking these type of branches out. But the new growth, this new growth that's not woody, I'm going to be leaving, and we'll see how that works. I am a proponent. Other salvias I cut back really easily, but for some reason in this bed, because it's used by so many pollinators, I just struggle with cutting it back because it's used so much by so many things, from native bees to the butterflies to the hummingbirds. And right now we have had hummingbirds for the last few years overwinter with us. We've had 3 different kinds of hummingbirds: the ruby throat, the buff belly, and the the one that's the rust color. Oh, I can't think of the name of it offhand. But we've had all 3, and now I'm starting to see the male ruby throats come through. So they're migrating, and I just want to make sure that we have all the blooms possible that we can. So because we had a pretty hard freeze, and I had a crazy winter, and just circumstances didn't allow me to protect a lot of the garden. I had a lot more death this year in the garden than I have had in the past, and so this has given an opportunity to where I am rethinking some of my beds. And in particular, I'm going to be doing something different with what I call my center bed. And I'm excited to take you with me on the journey as I plant up this bed. You'll notice that I have purchased products here, purchased plants that I'm excited. They're not all going in this bed, but I'm excited to be planting new, at least some new things in this garden. So I still have cleanup I'm doing. You'll notice, look at this wonderful new growth coming up from my passion vine. And oh my goodness, I'm still taking down, my husband helped me clear a lot of the dead passion vine off of the trellises, but I have a lot more cleanup that I need to do because, as you can see, new growth is pushing out, and I absolutely love this. Typically, I try to protect my shrimp plants. I do have them in containers, and this year I was not able to. And so again, that snow acted as an insulator, but they did freeze. But look at the new growth that's already been pushing up. So I'm really, really pleased to see what's going on with some of the plants, even in the stressed winter that we had. I'm behind where I was last year in the garden as far as prepping and getting things ready, but I certainly have had more to do this year because of the winter that we had. And so I am behind, and I wish that I wasn't, but hey, that's how things go. And so I am just plugging along and trying to do things as I can, and I'm excited to take you along on this journey with me this spring. So I love the flowers that are coming through. I don't know if you can see how vibrant the color is. Comes off as a little bit different color on camera, but this is a Mystic Spires salvia, and next to it is the Henry Dewelberg, and I have a volunteer Henry Dewelberg salvia, which is a native salvia to Texas. And so I love that this is already pushing up early growth, and quite a bit actually. So the fennel here I planted last fall is just looking gorgeous and beautiful as ever. And so I will be continuing to clean up this week and starting to plant. So I hope your spring cleaning, if you're down here in the South, I hope that's gone well and is continuing to go well if you're continuing to do it. And I'm just excited for a healthy and good spring. So thank you for joining me, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day today, and I hope to see you again soon.